So I'll go into the losing team's sheds and I'll say, hey, what did I miss? What are you not happy about? And I think that's something that a lot of the younger refs don't do. The IRB app is terrible. Up until last year, it was actually downloaded onto your phone. Now it seems to need to connect to a server. That's how much they've got in there. It's just stupid. People do think I'm crazy, and that's probably true to an extent, but it's got nothing to do with loving refereeing.
DSPN, the Devlin Sports Podcast Network.
DSPN. Well, what a pleasure this is. Our very first sponsor on the podcast, on the show, Web Wonks, and the CEO, the founder of that company is with us, Jeff McGregor.
G'day, mate. How you doing?
Well, thank you very much for supporting us and jumping on board to start with. Awesome.
Well, apart from the fact that I've been a long-time listener of yours, obviously the audience that you're speaking to are a great bunch of people, and so I thought, hey, what better way to continue the lineage of sporting knowledge and experience that you bring to the table than sponsoring?
And Web Wonks, okay? So just briefly, if they come to you, what do you do for them?
We cover the whole range of digital advertising, so Meta, Google, website building, SEO. There's a new thing called GEO, which is Generative Engine Optimization. That's for all the people that are wanting to be found on AI search engines or that sort of thing. So, we cover the gambit pretty much across all of that digital space.
The other thing and the reason that we're actually talking to Jeff today is because Jeff is also a ref. And you ref at club level, and I'm always fascinated when anyone takes up the whistle and does this, because it's a hell of a commitment. It's something that you never really get rewarded for, that you cop a lot because you do it. So first and foremost, why and how did you get into it, and why do you want to become a ref?
So my old man picked up tickets at Eden Park when there was the exodus during the Springbok tour, when everyone gave up their seats, and being the shrewd McGregor that he is, he decided to pick them up. So I've been going to Blues games, Auckland games, since I was knee-high to a grasshopper, right on the South Tunnel before that got redeveloped. And Dad would go into the referee's room after the match to get cheap pints. Now, I'd be kicked out onto the number 2 ground to play with the boys. As I got a little bit older into my teens, Dad would still be drinking beers, and they would sell pies there, really good pies actually, and I'd try to go and ask for a pie. And this old dude, no, you can't, you're not of age, you can't order anything from here. And so eventually I got to 18 and got my dad's tickets, went with the boys and ordered my beer, and probably got quite drunk and said, oh, yeah, I could do this refereeing thing. And they said, well, why don't you come on a Monday? And because I'd been going for so many years, I wouldn't have been able to show my face for the next game unless I followed through. Yeah. So that Monday, all referees have a Monday meeting, showed up for that, and that was history, yeah.
How many games have you done?
I did 6 years initially. So I did my first year at Auckland, and then I moved down to Wellington for university. So I did 2 years there, 2 years for Horowhenua, came back and did Harbour. As I started the business and had children, I took a decent block of time off. So then now it's been another 7 years.
Good on you.
Probably into the hundreds in terms of the games.
Wow.
I was fortunate. I sort of shortcut my career a wee bit because I started doing junior boys, as everyone does, for my first year. But then when I moved to Wellington, I kind of got pushed up. By the time I was in Horowhenua, I was doing Prem games because I really only have one grade down there.
Right, yeah.
So I do Prem reserves under 85 kg, and I do 21s. So love it.
This is the thing, because every time I've ever talked to you about this, you say that you really love doing it. Explain to people why you love doing it so much.
Well, I enjoy the man management aspect. It challenges me quite a bit. So it's a yin-yang relationship with business. I think having refereed all those years going into business, I understood what clutch moments were and making decisions. And then having had a few years of business under my belt, going back to referee, how to deal with, it's not just the players, it's obviously coaches and managers, sideline officials, people like that. But I learned early on that if you make a mistake, you can't balance the ledger. You just have to stomach that you've made that mistake.
Right, okay.
Hope not too many people noticed, and carry on your game. So it teaches you a lot about yourself. But then I personally prefer to do senior matches. I periodically get allocated college games. But the reason for that is you're dealing with people who are of similar age to yourself, but you can talk to them as humans. Pre-match, you go through what you're requiring. You have a few laughs with them. The game, you're spot on. You should be doing exactly as you're expected to. But then afterwards, you're having a few beers with them. You're having a laugh. You're opening yourself up to critique because
that's a difficult thing. No one likes it, mate. I work in an industry where your whole life you're critiqued. It's a really difficult thing to absorb and to actually learn how to actually accept it and how to answer back to it.
Yeah, the way I work with it is that after a game, I'll have 3 beers. So I'll go into the losing team's sheds and I'll say, hey, what did I miss? What are you not happy about? And I think that's something that a lot of the younger refs don't do. They get in there in the sheds and then leave. But by opening myself up to that, I can learn a bit about myself. And then you build respect with the players. I then go into the winning team sheds, and every game it's, you're the best ref ever, which, the adulation, soak it in.
Yeah, I love that.
You have a beer with them. And then I make a point of going upstairs to the clubhouse. I'll try to pick on one of the ball boys, get their name, and hat tip them because there are younger guys coming through, whether they be referees or players themselves. They're putting in their innings. And then I'll look to build up the club, so get to meet some of the club officials. And that works well for the next game that I might have at that club, right. But also it works well for other referees to show that we're humans too, and that.
Look, there's no game without you. That is the deal, isn't it? So a couple of things. How do you deal with the crap that you receive, and especially from the sideline when people are giving it to you on the sideline and stuff like that? How do you deal with that?
Look, I think I don't hear it personally when I'm locked into the game. It's not a real issue for me. Each club should have a ground manager, and if you really feel that you're getting any grief, you can stop the game. You'll go over to the coach or the manager of the home side and you'll say, look, this is going to stop, or the game's over, it'll be defaulted, and I'll put it against you guys. Now, that's a pretty extreme thing.
Yeah, of course.
Again, probably not right to mouth off back as much as you want to serve it at some of these people. They're weekend warriors, man. They're not even associated to the club. There have been instances with one club where they brought Maori wardens down to clean it up down that particular ground. Younger guys, or perhaps guys that don't have quite as much mettle, they can really be affected by it. Last season there was a chap that there was a restorative process that went on, and the politics of rugby are well known, and we do get good support from the unions, but there are occasions where, shit happens.
Yeah. Sure. How much studying of that rule book do you have to do? Do you go to sleep with that baby at night? Because it's 200 and something pages, mate.
Oh, no, I love it.
Do you?
No. And then, if you've been doing it a long time, you've got a natural feel for it. I think that there were 7 new changes this season. There were a few changes last season. The IRB app is terrible. Up until last year, it was actually downloaded onto your phone. Now it seems to need to connect to a server. That's how much they've got in there. It's just stupid. Look, you make mistakes. We all do. But I think that you set a law exam. There's one every season. It is made dead easy now. New Zealand Rugby has a game. I think that's where all that Silver Lake money went. It's a board game. Every club got it. It's a bit weird.
Right.
But it's an idiot's guide to law.
Okay.
So
we probably all need to look at it, though. I mean, is it how complicated a game is it to ref?
No, it's not. So dependent on the game that you've got, you're either going to be officious. If it's 2 top teams and it's toward the end of the season, you're really wanting to make a good game of it. And in that respect, you're probably going to penalise quick. You're going to be very strict in that first 10 minutes. You obviously want to set down the law, sternum tackles, set your offside lines and the like. But if you've got 2 lower grade teams and maybe they've gone to a non-contested scrum, you're probably going to be a little bit more flexible. Right. There'll be 15 things at the breakdown you could penalise, but do you need to? So I think that as you get a little bit more game management, a little more wisdom, you're going to decide things. Obviously, most people are watching Super Rugby.
Yeah, of course.
And that's a professional game, and they really should be by the book because players are being paid a lot of money to be out there.
And people are betting on these games as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so that's just not happening at the grade that I'm at. And I think people that are coming to watch understand that. You don't want to hear the referee pinging the whistle the whole time. That's just not right.
Do you walk off the field ever really happy after doing a game?
Yeah. So
this is great. See, I never imagined this. You see, I feel for everyone that does it. I spend a lot of time on the sideline with kids when they're playing football and that, and I always was one of the lines people because I knew the rules of the game, and so I knew the offside thing, and that's all you're doing. You're just looking at offside in a game of football, but just to help the guy in the middle out. Just so that, because I just thought, there are dads that are given this job or mums that are given this job that don't actually know what they're doing and they just feel terrible about it. So if you know, you got to volunteer and put your hand up, right? But I used to get into some hell rows with people on the sideline about it. To the point where you're yelling at me. Guess what? I'm good at yelling. Why don't you take the whistle and you do it? I mean, do you ever feel like doing that?
The game that I just had on the weekend, I did the reserves grade game, and then I was the assistant referee for the Prem game. When you are on the sidelines, you're getting a lot of chat, and so it's hard to ignore that. But again, younger, I might have said something back, but you're just amplifying it. You're giving them the voice.
True.
Don't do that. But in terms of coming off the ground, I cut a lot of weight this season. It's always good to have that opportunity come the 1st of January, knowing that I'm going to have the refereeing later in the year. And so I didn't get out of second gear. So while I was really happy with my game, upon reflection, being a little bit more nimble, coming into what we call jockey, which is behind the breakdown, moving off with the ball. So I was a bit lazy on it. So while I felt good about the game, I probably need to.
So what do they call those refs who do it between kind of like the 10-yard lines? Isn't
Fat
it?
man's track.
Yeah, that's the fat man.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
I've been there a couple of times.
Right. But you'd recommend this to other people because, as I say, there ain't no game without a referee, right? And in rugby especially, I mean, it's our national sport. We need people to actually step up and do it and be respected for doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got a joke that I tell people because often there's a difference between an assistant referee and a touch judge. So an assistant referee is someone who's actually qualified and I can take their calls if they give them to me. A touch judge is just one of the players or a spectator who's been given the flag and they just basically tell me that the ball's gone out. If it's a touch judge, what I'll say to them is, do you know how many chicks I get as a referee? And, how many? None. So apart from that, I'm married, but I mean, no, that's never going to happen. But
yeah, unless you're Ben O'Keefe, right.
One of the things I think is really a big factor for me is the camaraderie off the field. So throughout the week, I probably have 10 to 12 separate voice messages with a lot of referees. We get together throughout the week or on a Saturday after the games. And so as it would be for a player, as they're a part of a club, we as an association do get a lot of friendship. And I take a lot from that. So it's having something outside of work and family. It's having something that we have that camaraderie around. And I think that if someone is looking to get into it, that is as big an aspect as actually the Saturday game itself.
You love it.
I absolutely love it. Yeah. And people do think I'm crazy. And that's probably true to an extent, but it's got nothing to do with loving refereeing.
Jeff the Ref, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you again, Web Wonks, for supporting us. And all we ask is that you support those that support us.
Fantastic. Thanks, mate.
This is the DSPN.